so that's the reason why we do commentary right in the race and not from the beginning on. Aces versus Kings at the moment leading the race ahead of both S. Martins, Chappie and Callum. Lostock are on board right now in P4 is McLaren, who's also the championship leader. Casto in P5, followed by his teammate Scott, Eskimo P7, Miracle S1 P8. Me, myself, and I, Eufunnybot and Professor Zoo DNF from this race. So it's only 8 runners left for the moment. 11 of 22 laps gone. And we also take a look at the pit stops done already. Everyone has done one pit stop at least. Mercolesco has done twice. The tires are right now mediums for almost everyone. Only Lostock on fresh hards and Eskimo on fresh softs. Lostock will finish that race probably on this Condor tire. Eskimo probably has to put in more time, maybe for another pair of fresh softs. It seems like Aces versus King and Casto also have to do another pit stops. Their mediums are 9 laps old and we have 10 laps to go, so they probably won't make it until the end, but you never know. With elite settings is meant that we have the Colt Masters F1 2021 game elite settings on. That means no steering assist, of course, no braking assist, of course. Also, no traction. That means traction control is on off. ABS is off. The gearbox is changed to manual. So even if you're on a controller or on a pad, you have to shift manually. The racing line is, of course, off. There's no racing line. And any other assist like DRS, ERS, fuel or stuff like that, everyone is off, of course. So it's elite settings. Just to clear that up, no one is in cockpit view, I think. Everyone is driving with the TV pod to help themselves. So if you don't clarify that as elite, then it is what it is. We don't give a shit. But we see that Lostock gained a position against Chappie, who had a little trip into the gravel and also into the wall because his front wing is missing at the moment. 3-second time penalty for Aces, talking about penalties. We also take a look at that. 9 for Aces, 3 for Callum, 6 for Doc, 9 for Chappie, 12 for Casto, 3 for Eskimo, 3 for Scott and 3 for Mirko. Chappie letting Casto by here. Very fair and clean driving by Chappie, who has no wing and has to pit now for brave and goes for the softs or maybe another pair of mediums, because I can tell you that everyone started on softs besides Lostock and me on mediums. I think Eskimo also started on mediums, and Castle, that little braveheart, started on hards. He's right now on mediums and he will probably finish the race on, no he won't. He absolutely won't. He's on 10 lap old medium, so I doubt it. Casto and Aces are the ones with old mediums, and we see that Callum has overtaken Aces. Callum with fresh mediums, Aces with a little bit older mediums at the moment. Very interesting to see who will finish the race on their tires. I think Callum is going for a finish on these mediums. Lostock, of course, going to finish on these hards. I think Aces and Casto have to pit another time. Also Eskimo, I think. Scott, Chappie and Mirko probably will finish that race on the current compound of tire. To give you a little bit of detail behind the DNFs, Professor Zoo crashed spectacularly right at the corner where Casto now comes to. At the exit of that corner here, he clipped the outside curb and ran into the wall. Pretty heavy crash. Eskimo lost it, he's down to P6. That was a huge crash, and he clipped Eufunnybot. Eufunnybot was very close behind Professor Zoo. Just clipped him and also ran into the wall. I think he didn't DNF at that place, but his car was completely destroyed and he went into the pits and DNF. Same for me. I've spun a few more times too much, and then I reached a point where it's not worthy to continue if you can't see the safety car on the horizon. So are DNF in the pits, so the guys don't have to have a safety car ahead of them. You don't want to manipulate the race just because you think you have to DNF. So with a few position changes now, we have still Callum now in P1, Ace P2 in the DRS range. Lostock P3, Castor P4, Scott P5, Eskimo P6, Chappie P7, Merkel P8, and Doc getting another penalty. Let's have another look at the penalties. Doc is now also up to 9 like Aces, Callum with 3, Castor with 12, so the top 4 guys, excluding Callum, have a lot of penalties. Only Chappie also with 9, but we still have 8 laps to go. 8 to 9 laps, so absolutely anything can happen. Let's just wait. Oh, we saw something. That's a spinalla by Chappie. Chappie crashed with his Aston Martin. Huge crash into the wall at the beginning of Sector 2 after the fast right, left, right section. The exit of the last right hander, he lost his car into the wall. Let's see if he has damage. Well, you can't see the damage right now, but everyone who's raced in this game with damage on exactly knows that you don't need to see the damage on the wing. You need to feel it. And if you have damage, you feel it. Although you can't see it, it's there, and it's not cool. It's not cool. Callum still P1. Ace is now out of his DRS. So it seems like a very comfortable race for Callum at the moment. Very good position. P1, 1.7 ahead of Aces. Pressure mediums. He can finish that race on his compound of tyre. Dog P3. A few seconds behind, 7.6. And there's someone else, I think it's Merkel. Let's go. Yeah, he's in between. We've got lapped. And Aces gets another penalty. So he's up to 12 now. And that could be interesting. Ooh, wait. So that could be really interesting because Doc, oopsie doopsie whoopsie clipsy, Callum in the gravel sea. What is happening? He's throwing away P1. I don't want to say again, but again. Callum down to P3. And he's on 12 seconds behind Aces. So Lostock in P2, 9 seconds of penalties, Aces with 12, and the 3 seconds for Callum and the 9 for Lostock are still interesting because Callum is only 5.3 behind Lostock. But if Callum got damaged there, or maybe wants to change his tires now, then we have a whole different situation here. So if he stays out, and he's staying out, then he just has to get back into the mix, but it will be difficult enough. Lostock is no stranger to this game. He doesn't take any prisoners. And Aces suddenly in the lead with 7 laps to go. And Ace's tires are 13 laps old. Maybe he puts in a miracle here. And we see Castor pitting. So Castor and Aces pitted on the same lap for their mediums. That means Castor's mediums have been 13 laps old and he had to pit. He's pitting for softs now. He's pitting from P4 or 5, I think. He's down to P6 at the moment. He got Eskimo ahead, but Eskimo himself is also on softs, but his softs are 6 laps old. They're on Spa. These softs go a little bit more down than you want to. So, tricky thing here, tricky thing. Yeah, but Callum being a very naughty boy to himself in binning it there. And maybe gifting the victory to Aces or Doc. So let's see what happens here in this race. But yeah, the thing that happened to Callum could also happen to Aces easily. It's just one mistake. These boys don't have a racing line. These boys have no fucking assist, nothing. No traction control, no ABS, no traction. All these boys are completely familiar with driving with no traction at all. But the tricky thing is ABS and racing line. That's not new to most of us, but we don't do it on a regular basis, so it's a little bit tricky. We only do it once or twice a week for some races, or especially for this race on Mondays, as it is a league race. But yeah, that's the main practice to get in, and that's why we see a few mistakes here and there, which is absolutely understandable. So to make a mistake without any assist, it's not World War III. It's just what it is. Unfortunate. But yeah, Callum starting to recover. He gained around half a second to Doug in the last 2 laps. If he can hold the gap around 4.5 up to 6 seconds, then he's safe in P2. And he's not safe in P1 at the moment, because the gap to Aces has to be 9 seconds or lower, and the gap is right now 10.8. So he needs to make up another 1.8 seconds to also gain P1 back, if Aces stays out. If Aces comes into the pits again, then the story is a little bit different. Oh yeah, we also have, of course, a look on that. We also take a look at the leader on penalties. That is Casto. He just gained another 3 seconds. That means he's on top of the leaderboard regarding penalties with 15 at the moment. We got Eskimo behind him with a 6-second time penalty. But the good thing for Casto is that King Eskimo probably has to pit again. And I just realized that we're staying with Callum all the time, but it's pretty fucking boring to watch him all the time. So let's see maybe what Aces is doing here. On board with him, up Arouge and Radio. So let's see how our leader is doing a lap on board here around Spa. We'll also take a look at telemetry and the lap time, so you can see what our leader is doing here. Castro's doing the fastest lap, 1:44.8. Quite good lap around here with no assists. For us, not for the esports guys, but we are not the esports guys, so everybody compares us to them. Just please go and fuck yourself. That's how it is. But at the moment it looks like a very, very good result for McLaren, who are in P2 and P4 at the moment. We have yellow flags, and that could be Mirko. It is Mirko with the little Spinalla. And the second sector in his Alpine. He's in P8 at the moment, having 2 guys behind who are lapping him. I think Casto here, because Casto is on fresh softs. He's on a mission. He wants to close that gap to Scott, and we have another yellow flag, and I think it's Mirko again. It was Mirko again. Maybe let's stay with Casto. He's lagging a little bit. If he does that one more time, we're gonna switch from his onboard to someone different, because that's giving me massive headaches. Just by yourself, the whole internet has to get some connection. That would be nice. Thank you very much for that. So let's stay on for a lap here with Casto. He's coming around the bus of chicane now. So he's flying at the moment. He's pushing to the limit. As you can see, telemetry beautifully using trail braking into the source. Not lock up and still make the corner. Full throttle for him around Eau Rouge and Radion. Beautiful line he's taken there. And now the long camel straight. Yellow flags again. It's an S. Martin's Chappie, I think. Now into the second sector, the tricky sector. We need enough rotation, or you're not allowed to spin, otherwise you have a meeting with the wall. Oh, I'm mistaken there. That wasn't Chappie. That was Cullum, who's now 13 seconds behind Doc. But we're keeping here with Castor and is on board to see what he's doing here. He's closing the gap to Scott massively. He's taking beautiful lines here. Sweet braking points, hitting the spot almost every time. Early on the throttle, as early as he can. Oh, braking himself a little bit there. Some mistakes can of course happen. But besides that little mistake, pretty tidy lap by Castor until then, and still is. This guy Eskimo now 18 seconds behind, so he's pretty safe from the guys behind now, even with penalties. Let's jump to Cullum, let's see if he has damage to his car. No, that was probably only a spin. Yeah, now it gets really interesting because Doc is 3.7 seconds. And we have another thing here. It's Scott! Oh my god, it's Scott! Scott binned it up the hill, up through Eau Rouge and Rodeo. Let's see if he has damage. Doesn't seem like maybe he only lost his car, but it's massive for the result because Castor is gaining that position he was fighting for the last few laps with fastest lap after fastest. No, that's a lie, but there's a lot of fast laps here. Trying to get Scott desperately, and now he hasn't. But the bad thing is he's still on 15 seconds of penalties and Scott has only 3, so that's a little bit of a nightmare for Castor. But Cullum getting another penalty, which means he's up to 6 seconds now, and he's out of sight for P1. But who's inside is Lost Dog. He only needs to cut these last 7 tenths because Aces is on 12 seconds, Lost Dog is on 9. As long as it stays like that, Lost Dog has a real chance to get Aces on penalties. But both men have to keep it on track. If one of them loses it, P1 is gone. That's how it is. Cullum with another penalty. He seems a little bit reckless, and there we go. That's another DNF for Cullum. Very unfortunate, because it was still looking good. P3 was way up there for him, but Castor's now clapping in his hands because he's up to P3, of course, not P4 because of penalties. But Cullum only had 9 seconds of penalties, no danger at all from behind. But yeah, he lost it out of La Source on the exit, into the wall, DNF. It is what it is. But we're keeping up with Lost Dog, and we can see that he's only 2.7 behind Aces now, which means he's the net leader at the moment. But that doesn't mean shit, because anything can happen. We still have 1.5 laps to go. The gap is 2.7. That means only 3 tenths. Okay, now it's 5, but yeah, it is what it is. Oh yeah, let's see who got the nerves for the finish on the last lap. Castor P3, Scott P4. Of course, these 15 seconds are horrible for Castor. Scott can chill a little bit behind him. Chappie with 12. Eskimo 5 seconds behind, only has 6 seconds of penalties. Yeah, there we go, he's up to 9. Yeah, it's like you want to see something, you want to highlight something, and then these guys are just collecting penalties to completely destroy your argument. That's also unfortunate. And we're on the last lap now. We are on board with Lost Dog, who is 2.5 seconds, 2.6 seconds behind Aces at the moment. Aces with 12 seconds of time penalties, Lost Dog with 9. That means at the moment, Lost Dog is in net P1. He has to keep it on track. He has to be careful, but also he needs to keep the pace. Otherwise, Aces is gone. Aces has almost nothing to lose here. He knows he's in P2 if he doesn't push, so he's pushing. Lost Dog knows that if he pushes too much, he could lose everything. It's a very tricky situation, but the gap is still at 2.5. It's now decreasing just a little bit. They're both giving everything now. Let's switch to Aces. Let's see how aggressive he is. Very calm on the throttle. Pushing it now, full throttle. The last bit of ERS down the pipe. But Lost Dog still 2.5 behind. Oh! And we got Scott with another 3-second time penalty. And if Casto is up for a miracle, I think we don't need that. Because Scott has just spun. And if Scott is 9 seconds behind Casto, then Casto is in fucking P3. And he's not 9.4 behind. I think he has no damage, but that's the shit mix. With shit mix, I think he's down on ERS. Sorry, we lost it here. Lost Dog won this race, of course, on penalties. Ace is P2. I think Scott is low on fuel too. So Scott is down in P4. Casto, with that shitload of penalties, still up in P3. What a move by Casto to switch on these softs to just pressurize everyone ahead of him. And Scott is in P4 still, but Chappie is coming by. Yeah, still. I think Chappie, even if he overtakes him, he has too many penalties. Scott will cross the line in P4. Chappie P5. Eskimo will finish in P6. Mercolesko got lap, that means he finishes in P7. Eskimo going sorry, around the last corner over the main straight to finish in P6. Yeah, for me too. Casto is my driver of the day. With that move going into the pits, coming out in P7 I think, and then finishing in P3. That's pretty strong. That's a very, very strong finish by him. Of course, Lost Dog won that race on penalties against Aces Vikings. Casto finishing P3, Scott P4, Chappie P5, Eskimo P6, Mercolesko P7, Cullen, our latest DNFer, then me, myself and I, your funny bot, and Professor Z. So congratulations guys on a huge shitload of penalties and also a good race, and see you all next week on track again.